Grant Hall with us on the hotline on a Wednesday morning. Grant, good morning, man. Finally get a chance to watch the Razorbacks at Razorback Stadium. Do you realize when you look at the rest of the SEC teams? Now, I'll give it to Georgia because they play so many. Neutral site games, even though they're not really neutral site when it's in Atlanta. Let's be honest about that. Every other SEC team will have at least played 2, some 3, and then there's Auburn, who will have played 5 home games by the time Arkansas hosts Tennessee for their second home game. I know this is going to change in the future because the Little Rock games might be going away. The contract ends for AT&T Stadium after this year with the Aggies game, and these are always kind of early season games. But, I'd ask, what kind of an effect can this have on the team? Who knows? But 5 games, 5 different stadiums, and finally getting a chance to play at home. They got to be excited about it.
They'll be so happy to be in Fayetteville. Phil, this is my 70th year to watch a football game in Fayetteville. Started in 1955 when I was 7 years old. And the Razorbacks back then used to dress in the old half house, which would have been, I guess, on the southeast corner of the state, and was still doing that, really. When they played Texas in 1969, Texas was across the way, and Nixon walked from one to the other and so forth. But I was a little kid, and I'd keep watching that half house until the player, there's a red uniform coming out. They're getting ready to run on the field. And, of course, the excitement of the fans was palpable when they first showed up for the first game. So I guess some of that will be there. The new students haven't seen them yet. It should be a fun day.
Grant, we've had a few days now after this Oklahoma State game. Can you wrap it up for us? What was something you liked, something you didn't like, and have your thoughts changed going forward on this SEC season after you watched this last game?
Well, most people would have thought after the game, okay, that's a fluke. They had these turnovers and they outgained it by 250 or whatever it was, but then the more you kind of think about it, well, Arkansas got outscored 32-10 after intermission. It was a hot day. I think they only played 16 guys on offense and 17 on defense, something like that. And Sam talked about that, about the importance of getting players in earlier. It was 3 hours and 58 minutes. And so even though it wasn't an extremely hot day, it was 81 or something, but on the turf it was hotter. And I think you did see, and Sam admitted, he said that Talon Green got tired. And if you just look at some of those turnovers, Matt, I mean, the one, the pitch that was right in Jaquinda's hand, but he took his eye off it, just fundamental things like that. That the other team didn't have as much to do with. The muffed catch by Satania on the punt where somebody was too close to him, I think for the second time in the game. So those things you would have hoped to clean up before that game. But as Sam said, he would like to have had maybe another game before a really tough opponent, and that didn't happen. And, of course, the first week maybe lulled them a little bit. But I think this game Saturday is a little bit interesting in that you've got you've got Alex Mortensen, who played here, and he's the offensive coordinator, and he was among those that Trent Dilfer said stunk last week for UAB as they lost 32-6 to this team that was coached by the guy who'd been the interim at UAB and did not get the job. He was the interim, and they went 7-6 and 22, and he didn't get it, and so he probably took a lot of that frustration out on UAB last week, and so that score might be a little bit misleading. I'm expecting them to come. I mean, this team's averaging almost 200 yards rushing per game, and again, you look at the opponent and everything that they played, but I don't know that it's just going to be, you go out there and have a walkover. Now, Arkansas fans probably hope that, they probably hope it's 35-0 at halftime, and they can begin thinking about when to go beat the traffic and go watch games the rest of the night and have fun. That would be the ideal thing, right?
Yeah, but and so like you said too, you got to take the stats 2 games into the season with probably a half a shaker full of salt. When it's 2 games and one of them is against, look, I don't know what UAP's going to do in their regular season, but they're terrible. So I don't really think that told you much at all. But I will say, just judging from what we've watched and what we saw last week, for thinking about an identity for this team, they should score a lot of points. Like, they should be in position to score a lot of points. Heck, they could have scored 48 against the Cowboys. They really could have. It could have been 48, could have been over 50 points. They get out of their own way in some cases, and that's the thing. It's not that it worries me. So sometimes you'll say, we got to clean up these mistakes, and they're mistakes that can be fixable. But I've also watched plenty of seasons for whatever football team where they just have trouble holding onto the ball, or they have trouble with the snap, or they have trouble with taking sacks at the wrong time, these were the reasons mostly why Arkansas lost on Saturday. And that's the thing you got to avoid moving forward. So you got to see on Saturday, you want to blow the crap out of UAB. Don't fumble it. Every snap's got to be right where it needs to be. I mean, you got to get over these things immediately. Otherwise, they can become a defining characteristic of your team.
And then when you get back to playing tougher teams pretty much most of the rest of the year, you got Cam Ball saying losing close games like we did last year is in our minds. And it's going to stay in their minds if they keep losing close games. So how do you win close games? You do the little things, and you don't mess up the clock situation at the end, which Sam talked about at length Monday, that there were 2 clock snafus there in that one drive that let 8 seconds slip away one time. And then I think down there on the corner, I don't think they realized the ball was out of bounds because somebody said, well, they saw – I don't think they realized it was inbounds because you see the guy signaling time, but that's for the first down. And so, when your play caller is not the head coach, I don't know that Bobby was looking down there, 30 yards away to see. He's looking at the next play. So the head coach really has to be on point there on clock management. And Sam took, he took ownership of it and said we messed those 2 up. But that there are going to be a lot of those things like that in SEC games.
Hey, Grant, your thoughts on Taylon Green on that first real game, just his overall performance and how he handled, both halves?
Well, here's what Sam said. He said he's a fantastic player. I wouldn't trade him for any quarterback in the country. We expect him to complete every pass. He knows where to throw the football. And, Matt, I think the one that probably would give him nightmares is the one, the guy coming out of the flat with nobody within maybe 10, 15 yards of him, and he threw it low, and that's a gimme touchdown. So, yes, his percentage was good and lots of yardage, almost 500 yards total offense. But, those are like in an SEC game, you better hit that one. You might not get another chance down there on the goal line. So there's plenty for Bobby and him to talk about going into this next game and into the rest of the season.
It is a better team, though, Grant, right? I mean, it's obvious watching it. This is a better team. They can play physically. I think they can control the line of scrimmage. I think they did that for the most part against the Cowboys. So to me, as I'm watching, and again, it's 2 games, but you can kind of tell it does feel like it's night and day from at least feeling like they belong. Now, part of what you're saying about, what Cam Ball was talking about, it's in our heads. That can get through a program sometimes. You try to figure that out, but the more you think about it, the more that it's in your head, the more that it can affect you a little bit. So, maybe the most important thing to see is that, and who knows when it happens, it won't be this Saturday, hopefully not, but I would expect when you go to Auburn, as poorly as they played against Cal, I expect that to be a close game. They win a game by 3 or 4 or 5 points. That probably is a lot better for them than winning a game by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, especially if you win it the way you go score on the last drive to put them away or have a big stop or something. They're 6-15 in those close games under Sam, and there are a couple of other cautionary things. I would say, one, they've only created 1 turnover in 2 games, and then the offensive line did give up some sacks last week. So it's kind of I don't know. I mean, I've been coming pretty close on these predictions. It's just I had Arkansas with 31 last week, but I had Oklahoma State with 30. They scored 39. So I don't know what to make of this Saturday. But, and you don't know what to make of Auburn losing 21-14 at home to California either. That kind of stunned me as the Notre Dame loss stunned me.
Grant, you're onto something there. I was going to ask you more impressive or least impressive in the way Texas went in there and handled Michigan are just the two different teams. You saw Notre Dame week 1 against A&M, and you're like, that team might be for real. And then what was that last Saturday? I mean, I've never seen a team look so different from week to week.
Yeah, and Arkansas, you got to figure, Matt, that a lot of Arkansas fans were thinking in the first half, hey, Arkansas could be one of the 12 teams in the playoffs this year. This looks like a pretty good team, and then got the rug pulled out. And who knows, maybe they'll rally back and be really good this year. But it's going to be fun to watch it play out.
Graham, we had a listener, it was Andy in Springdale. He said he was listening to you on Sports Talk when September 11th, 2001 occurred. What do you remember about that day and your experiences that day?
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys about that too. You just played the music closing time when you came in, and I think that was the sign-off music for, maybe it was Chuck Barrett's show, maybe it was Bo, I can't remember, but one of the talk shows used to play that every day, coming up into the last segment. And so I mentioned Bo. He and Mike Irwin and I were doing a show in the old Butler Broadcasting Studio, which isn't even there anymore, in Fayetteville. We did a morning show back then when it happened, and so you see the first one and then you see the second one, and it really, frankly, I don't remember anything about the show that day or much of it because it was just a blur, and then we all watched television for 48 hours or something. So I saw today there was Biden and Trump and Harris all together, remembering that. And, man, I hope we get through the day. I hope we get through the day in good shape.
Yeah, I agree. I can't even imagine what it would have been like to have to try to formulate thoughts and host a show when it's just supposed to be based on sports. Not a single person was going to be talking about that then. I was working for the Travelers then. I thought we were going to get back to playing baseball 3 days after. I didn't know what I was going to say. They canceled the rest of the championship series that we were playing in, so I didn't have to get on the radio again for, I don't know, another like 7 or 8 months. But to have to work that day and to try to have lucid thoughts about what nobody knew what was happening, I just can't even imagine what that was like.
Yeah, and I think, I believe it was toward the end of our show when it happened, so we weren't on the air too long. But I want to mention one other thing, guys, before we go today. There's a golf tournament, Fayetteville Country Club over here, a high school tournament this week, featuring a lot of the teams that you'll see in the state tournament, which is also here in October, and a kid named Everett Hollingshead of Cabot aced the 12th hole, great par 3 at FCC. He used a 5-iron for the 212-yard shot from the blue tees. I think Little Rock Catholic boys won, and the Mount St. Mary girls won, and Rogers was second in both of them. Fayetteville and Bentonville did well. That was, I tell you, that course is in impeccable condition. They all enjoyed it, and my wife and I followed some guys for 5 or 6 holes yesterday, and they're hitting it. They're hitting like 6 irons, 202 and 209 sometimes. Even at the high school level, it's a game I don't recognize. And quickly, Matt, congratulations! I can't wait to be part of the people honoring you this Friday night in the Hall of Honor.
Well, Grant, you're too kind, and I had a lot of great teammates, man, and I always appreciate you, and I always enjoy our visits here. And I appreciate you joining us.
You're going in with a good group. Dave Van Horn's going in. I won't list all of them, but it'll be fun Friday night.
Here I am. I'm doing a radio show with a Hall of Honoree, and I got a guest who's in the Arkansas Sports Broadcasters and Sports Writers Hall of Fame. So it's just, I feel I might. Who knows? I just need to accomplish something at some point. Grant, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Time for you.
Always
Phil,
enjoy your
thanks.
visits with us.
Yeah, that's right, Grant. Just stay at it. Keep chopping wood, Phil. Just keep chopping wood.
That's what he does. Chopping wood.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.